Welcome back everyone to another technical analysis, and in this video we are going to talk about Cardano coin now. Overall, we are seeing on the bigger picture still the point of interest of ours was this box zone here, which is thanks to this kind of candlestick movement, which left a lot of unfilled zones here and untested. So basically, once we see some kind of falling from here, we are expecting to see a pretty good downward movement of, let's see, we broke from here and like 46% of market price movement. But what we also notice is some sort of buying or like supportive zone to form here. And as today is the 1st April, which is the beginning of the month, we are seeing some kind of upward movement currently happening here. So we had, let's zoom in, we had a nice liquidity grab here at the end of the month. And now we're seeing pretty strong upward movement. Now, the thing is that yesterday was the weekly opening. So it's two ways thing here, which means on the weekly we are slightly bullish, but nothing special. On the monthly, yet we have started pretty good upward movement. Now, if we go on the smaller time frames, and we're going to put it a little bit more transparent so you can see the candles movement as well. We are expecting to see some kind of upward movement, maybe to fill this unfilled theme gap on the bigger time frames. And also we expect to see a further movement to the lower zones once we fill this zone. So on the smaller time frames, we want to see a nice breakout from here happening. So the breakout should happen from this zone here, this line. So let's remove it currently fully. So once we see a breakout full from this zone, then there is a potential to open a small scalping position with the risk and reward ratio closer to like 1 to 2 basically. So the stop loss has to be very tight. And if we go to fill this zone, there's two ways to go. Either we see a quick liquidity moment similar to this candlestick here, but reversed, or we just go for a full force ladder breakout and go for this unfilled area here as well. So in that case, we would actually put the target closer to this zone, so to this 200 EMA line as well, maybe slightly lower. And the first target would be this zone, so 0.7 cents. Now on the daily time frame, also what's interesting is always when we reach this zone, we see some kind of upward movement. So we touched this zone here, we had an upward movement, we again touched this zone. Here we had a smaller CM gap, but still we had a pretty huge volume to the upper zones. Again, we touched this zone, we had upward movement, and now since then, price has been struggling to have some kind of proper movement. Now on the daily time frame, if we manage to break out from this 100 EMA mark, then again our target would be this zone here for long position, and secondary target would be this zone here. So in that case, the risk and reward ratio would be, if we break out from here, read it properly, the upward movement would be 54%, and stop loss should be closer to this. So if you want to go into the early stage of the trade, you can start dollar cost averaging the position from here and just slowly build up the position. But nevertheless, we still wait for this zone to be fully broken, and only then we're going to enter into a long position. Second thing, we still, as we mentioned, there is a lot of unfilled gaps on the lower zones. So if we see any kind of attempts to break down from here, and by breakdown we mean full breakdown, proper retest, then this proper retest zone would be our target zone for a short position here. And of course, position would be something like this. Again, slightly above this 200 AMA line, and target would be this. So in both ways, there is potential to take pretty decent trade of up to 45 to 50% of market price movement, with the risk and reward ratio being 1 to 3. So as of now, still a little bit early to talk about, but beginning of the month seems pretty bullish so far. So that's it for the Cardano coin. As of now, we still wait a little bit. We might see some smaller push to fill this CMA gap. This would be like a short-term trade for us. But on the bigger time frames, once again, we wait for this 200 EMA to be broken or this supportive zone to be broken again, retested properly, and then movement to lower zones. Why we need the retest? Because, for example, here we had a breakdown, could have taken the trade here, but we didn't see a proper retest, so retest happened and a rejection. Although if we go into smaller time frames, 4 hour time frame, then yeah, basically this wasn't a breakdown. So we had slight breakdown, retesting. This was a proper breakdown. It retested, although successfully, but trade still went south and we formed a huge CMA gap here. So there's nothing much more to talk about on the Cardano coin. Nothing so clear so far, but ideally we still have to dip a little bit further to the lower zones in order for the markets to fully recover and start the bullish trend that we've been waiting for. And on the weekly time frame, you can see that we had a similar push. We had a proper breakdown. Now another push. We are seeing some kind of breakdown happening, so correction movement, but this zone here would be ideal buying zone for us for another movement to the upper zones. And once we see this kind of movement, the price can just 7x in the matter of like months. So that's it for the Cardano coin. Let's wait for some clarity. And as always, thanks for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.